I am not going to let those who show up early suffer for those who show up late. We are covering, thank you so much for recording. We are covering two roles tonight. First, the Toastmaster of the day. Second, the role of Speech Evaluator. If you were not aware and now you are aware and you're not interested, please feel free to drop off the call. If you know someone that will benefit out of this session, you can send the link for this meeting to them. First, we'll cover the role of Toastmaster of the day. Just for my knowledge sake, is there anyone that is going to be playing the role of Toastmaster of the day anytime soon? You can type in the chat. Are you playing the role of Toastmaster of the day anytime soon? Just let me know. Type that in the chat. What do you do as the Toastmaster of the day? I'll break this down into three parts. Before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. The Toastmaster of the day happens to be the host of the meeting. You are actually, in a way, in charge. It's your meeting. You're also the core timekeeper. You are the MC, the one that takes people through the agenda. And depending on your club, you might be the one to prepare the agenda as well. Oh, fantastic. Toastmaster Jamila is going to try. Lovely, lovely. I'm excited. Please play this role. You might be the one to also prepare the agenda depending on the club. Before the meeting, what should you do? Depending on the responsibility in your club, you may be responsible for getting role players and preparing the agenda, or it might be the vice president's education. If you're not responsible, it's important that you get a hold of the agenda. Know the theme if you're not the one that chose the theme, if it's the president that chose the theme, because sometimes you can be the one to choose the theme of the meeting. Know the theme of the meeting. Know the time allotments for different parts of the meeting. Why? You are the main timekeeper. The timekeeper is there to show cards, but you are the one that ensures the entire meeting keeps to time. What this means is if some segments are going too long, you may have to truncate some others. Unfortunately, what tends to suffer the most is table topics, but you need to keep your eyes on the agenda. This was supposed to take 30 minutes. We're already in 40 minutes. You're thinking, what else needs to be cut off? And you can, if it's virtual, private chat the person in charge of that segment, or if it's physical, go up and talk to them. I'm sorry, we can only take one speaker. We're supposed to take 5. The other sessions went too long. You are always watching the entire time for the agenda. You look at it beforehand. You're also going to look at the speeches you have, the role players, because you want to know who you're going to be introducing, which means you will need to get the introductions or bios in advance. And I recommend, if feasible, assuming this is done early enough, if you can memorize this, go ahead. If you cannot, at least read it minimum once and make sure you have the flow when you read it, that it actually appears like you believe what you're saying. And then familiarize yourself with the person, the speaker, the role player, if you don't know who they are, especially if you don't know how their names should be pronounced. You can send them a message asking for a voice note on the proper pronunciation of their names. I favor voice notes because you can play it repeatedly. Some of you may want to call or maybe meet face-to-face and ask, how is your name pronounced? I will always recommend a voice note because if you hear it once, you may forget, and it can be frustrating if you have to ask them repeatedly. Get the voice note once, keep playing it till you master it, or till you improve, depending on how much time you have. All this you do before the meeting. What else do you do before the meeting? Prepare your own explanation of your role as the Toastmaster of the day. What do you do? Brief speech, intro, body, conclusion, letting them know that you are the MC, you take them through the agenda, you can let them know you're the host if you choose to. Very brief speech that should align with the time allotted. All this you do before the meeting. You can also reach out to different role players that you are responsible for, which means everyone else, aside from the evaluation team, those giving speeches as well, the general evaluator, if you know they are not experienced, you can find out, do they need any assistance? And you can link them up with either experienced Toastmasters or remind them to go meet their mentors, or you can assist if you're in a position to do so. Now, if they're experienced and you've worked with them before, you know that these people are capable and they're going to thoroughly prepare, you may not need to reach out. That's fine. And if you're not the one responsible for the agenda, and unfortunately you don't know in advance who is playing what role, which is not ideal, then it's understandable that you cannot reach out. But to the best of your ability, do all this before the meeting. What else do you do before the meeting? Please remind all your team members to show up early. I like to say worst case scenario, 15 minutes, 10 minutes before the meeting, let them be there. Ideally, as much as 30 minutes, they can show up before the meeting starts. Why is this important? When we play roles, when we give speeches, the Toastmaster of the day, the general evaluator, they are generally responsible for all role players. When they come to the meeting, they need to ensure that role players are present and ready to perform before the start of the meeting. If the meeting is going to start and the key role players are not there, the Toastmaster of the day should inform the audience before the meeting starts, not after the meeting starts, or not at the start of the meeting saying, sorry, we're going to have to start late. When you inform them before the meeting starts, it shows that you're actually prepared. Yes, you're not starting on time, but at least you have the foresight to know because of a few things, we're not going to start on time, and you're respectful enough to inform them. It also permits your team members to relax and do whatever last minute touches they need to, like check if their audio is working, ensure their camera is clear, those last minute details. Let them show up early, not on time. Now, during the meeting, what do you do as a Toastmaster of the day? Our meetings, the Sergeant at Arms will usually start it, introduce the president, who now handles their segment before introducing you. As the Toastmaster of the day, you are responsible for familiarizing guests with who we are, as well as letting members and guests know the sequence, the flow of the meeting. I like to actually ask before I even delve into what I'm going to say, are there any guests in the room? Why? Because if there are no guests in the room, there's no point explaining who we are as Toastmasters. Members know who we are. I think it's redundant. Once you clarify if they are guests, explain who we are briefly. What we do as Toastmasters, if you want to touch a bit on the club, fine. If there are no guests, just take members through the sequence of the flow of the meeting. I like to lay ground rules if the Sergeant at Arms didn't do so previously. Mute your devices. If it's physical, put your phone on silent or vibrate. I like to tell people to fully engage in the meeting. If you're made to laugh, laugh. If you're made to cry, cry. And I love to tell them to participate with applause, love notes, and any other thing that just makes it more engaging. Maybe turn on their camera if they were not previously informed. I love to state those rules. It helps guests know I am permitted to do these things, and it encourages people to do so. Once that's done, you introduce the general evaluator, who goes ahead to introduce their team members before handing control back to you. If our first segment is prepared speech, I then go ahead to introduce the first evaluator, who tells us the objectives of the speech before introducing the first speaker and giving details of their speech before they speak. For introductions, I like to mention the name last. After you give the details, it's almost like hiding the most important information, who the speaker is. You reel out all the details, and then you now have this crescendo of saying the name, and then people give an applause. That's why I like to do it. You can think about it and give a proper introduction. I believe the introduction needs to do two things: inform the audience why they should pay attention to the speaker, and also remind the speaker of what they are coming to do and the ability they have to perform just that. Those two things. Let your introduction be able to ideally perform both. And you go through that for the prepared speeches. If your club is going to be voting for best speaker, you would confirm with the timer if all speakers kept to time before asking that the vote occurs for the speakers that keep within the allotted time. After that, you segue to table topics. You introduce the table topics master who anchors that portion of the meeting. Once it's done, control is given back to you. If there's going to be voting for the best table topic speaker, go back to the timer to ask, did all speakers keep to time? Only speakers that kept within the allotted time be voted for. At this point, you now hand control to the general evaluator to anchor the evaluation portion of the meeting. Once the general evaluator is done, give control back to you, at which point you will conclude with the entire meeting, a speech you prepared or just prepared from what transpired in that specific meeting. Once you are done, hand control to the president, and your job as the Toastmaster of the day is done for the meeting. Finally, after the meeting, if you're leading any team at all, I highly recommend you always appreciate them afterwards. They've put in all this work. And unfortunately, because these things are done behind the scene, people usually don't appreciate them. Just a bit of encouragement from you, the Toastmaster of the day, their team lead, can encourage them to keep doing this, to volunteer again, to take up different roles, or perhaps even the same role. You can meet them face to face, you can call, you can send a voice note, you can send a message. I say you should go in that order: face to face, the best, call, if feasible, voice notes, or a message, in that order, so they can feel the change in your voice, so they can see your body language if feasible. In summary, that's what you get to do as a Toastmaster of the day, before, during, and after the meeting. Is there any question? If you have any question or comment, you can raise your hand or send a message in the chat, and we'll read the question and attend to it. I don't see any hands, and I don't see any messages in the chat box. Toastmaster Rakia, please go ahead.
Good evening, Toastmaster John.
Good evening.
Thank you for what you are doing. It's really beneficial to us. We appreciate you greatly. My question is on the introduction, on the aspect where you said if the role players are not on hand, Toastmaster of the day should inform the house. I thought this was the exclusive role of the general evaluator, since they are members of his tag team.
Thank you so much for that question, Toastmaster Rakia. Toastmaster Rakia said if the role players are not at your meeting early and you need to start late, that I stated that the Toastmaster of the day should inform the audience who are going to be starting late. She thought it was the responsibility of general evaluator. No, Toastmaster Rakia, you are the host. You are the one that gets to inform people about what is going on. Now, the general evaluator is one that has a responsibility to get replacements for their team members. But you, as the host, should address the audience. In fact, you should be engaging with people before the meeting starts. As the Toastmaster of the day, engage with guests, engage with members, in a way you're preparing them to enjoy the meeting as the host, the way we do it at home. People are coming over, you're welcoming them in, making sure everything is going well. The birthday celebrants in our culture, you are the host, the Toastmaster of the day. It's not done often because many people don't realize their responsibility. What we get to hear as the Toastmaster of the day, MC, MC, MC. There are other things that you're responsible for. You are the host of the meeting. I hope that helps, Toastmaster Rakia.
Yes, greatly, greatly. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. How about a Toastmasters at Event Center? I'm not sure I understand the question. Toastmaster Emmanuel, please, can you clarify?
Good evening. Good evening.
Evening.
Thank you. What I'm saying is that at events, I believe that Toastmasters, the way they handle it is quite different from when you are in a Toastmasters meeting. So how do you maximally perform at events compared to in the meeting? What actually is the difference?
Are you saying as an
Like
MC
you
at
are
events?
MC. Yes.
Okay, that's completely different. That's something we can talk about afterwards. That's different. So we can talk about that
Okay.
afterwards. We'll probably talk on that one-on-one. This training session is just 30 minutes. We're focused on roles right here. But we'll talk more
Okay.
about that. Is that okay with you, Toastmaster Emmanuel? This is my number. I don't know if you have my number or not. This is my number. I just dropped in the chat. We can definitely discuss on that. Many of the things you used here, you'll be able to use it there. I also do MC work, and I've done it at different levels. Birthdays, funerals, I've done it at different levels. So let's talk more about that later. But for now, let's cover the second role, the role of speech evaluator. Speech evaluator is a very important role. I believe that when you are done evaluating someone's speech, at least two things should happen. One, the person that just delivered a speech should want to speak again. And two, the person who just delivered the speech should want to deliver again, but better. And your evaluation should do these two things. I'll break down the responsibility of a speech evaluator into two, possibly three parts. Before the meeting, during the meeting, / after the meeting, depending on how you handle the last part. Before the meeting, what should you do? As the speech evaluator, please ask for the evaluation slip and know who you are evaluating. You'll be surprised how many times speech evaluators get to meetings only to discover at the meeting who they're evaluating for the very first time. That's not good. You should have perused the evaluation slip. Have an idea of what you are going to be paying attention to, because different projects look at different objectives. Their focus is different. Yes, there are general structures to a speech, but because we're trying to strengthen specific muscles, the different speech projects have laser focus, and you want to know what it is in advance so you can prepare yourself as the speech evaluator, meaning you're going to focus on looking out for certain things over others. What else should you do? When you know who you're evaluating, know the proper pronunciation of their names. If you're uncertain, then reach out to them. You can also reach out to them to confirm, other than the objectives stated here on your evaluation slip, is there anything else you want me to pay attention to? And if they say yes, please do them the courtesy of actually paying attention to those things and giving them feedback. All this you do before the meeting. Not too many things, but these are important things. The meeting, what do you do as a speech evaluator? Once again, please show up early. You can engage with the speaker if you choose to beforehand, maybe to get them to relax. Most speakers are nervous before they speak, and getting them to relax will help them perform at their best beforehand. When they're about to deliver their speech, what should you do? A speech does not start when the first word is uttered. A speech starts long before that. If it's a physical meeting, people are already paying attention to the speaker, where they are seated, how they stand up, how they approach the lectern, the handshake. They are paying attention to all those things. Do they exude confidence, scared? It's creating a perception of the quality of speech people are going to hear. Long before they utter one word. As the speech evaluator as well, be paying attention to all those things. Depending on the objectives of the speech, it may be secondary or it may be primary. But before they come to do that, you would have been introduced as a speech evaluator to give the objectives of the speech. You could have memorized it if you had enough time to go through it, feel comfortable memorizing it, or you can read it out. Please let it not be the first time you're reading the objectives. You should have read it before the meeting so you are conversant enough to read it in such a manner that people can understand what exactly the objectives are. When you do that, then the speaker is introduced to come and deliver their speech. You're paying attention to what they're doing. In the virtual space, if they turn on their camera, also pay attention to that. Note, for a virtual space, when you show up early, note when the speaker shows up. Note if they test their microphone and if they test that their camera is working. Why? Because this is important. We're in a day and age where we're going to have many meetings, many trainings, many sessions virtually. If you're going to speak in a virtual space, you should learn how to operate and be professional in this space. Part of that is showing up early enough to test your devices. You test your microphone, confirm if they can hear you. Turn on your camera, confirm if it's clear enough. Is there any light behind you that is too bright? Are there things in frame that ought not to be there? There are minute details that you can confirm beforehand. As a speech evaluator, pay attention to these things because this is feedback they will need to get so that when they apply it in their day-to-day life, in work scenarios, in training scenarios, it actually helps them become better. Very important. When they come up to speak, you're paying attention to everything that happens, from the pausing to the smiling to how they speak, use of pause fillers, telling stories, every element of a good speech, especially the objectives that you're supposed to focus on. By the time they are done, go back to their seats, you put pen to paper and give your feedback before you relay it later. In Toastmasters, we have the CRC method. Commend, recommend, commend. This is one of the best ways for people to take constructive feedback from you, which is why Toastmasters recommend it. Have a list of commendations that you observed, a list of areas of improvement, and finally, more commendations that you liked. Because usually evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, a starting point I'll recommend is 2 commendations, 2 recommendations, 2 commendations, based on time and based on my experience. You can vary that, increase some, reduce some, and I recommend that when it's a more experienced speaker, a more confident speaker, you can increase the recommendations if you saw more areas that you can recommend for improvement, and perhaps reduce or keep the commendations the same, always paying attention to time. If it's someone that is new to speaking, someone that is clearly petrified at the prospect of failing in front of an audience, you can reduce the number of recommendations that you give from the stage because of where they are currently. You can give them the rest of the recommendation afterwards, one-on-one. You need to pay attention to the speaker so you know what you ought to say from the stage. Remember, when you are done giving feedback, you want that person to speak. If you don't pay attention to their experience and confidence, By the time you're done, that person may never want to speak again because they couldn't handle the way you gave the constructive feedback. Always have this in mind when you want to evaluate a speaker. What else should you do? Please note you are delivering a speech as well. What do I mean? Rather than coming to read the reports, you are coming to carry the audience along and carry the speaker along as well. You have two people you're speaking to, not just one. You should have an introduction, a body, which is generally your report, and a conclusion. It's a speech. Every role player, including speech evaluators, get the benefits of improving their public speaking skills when they play their roles. Come and give a speech, not read a report. By the time you come to the lectern, you deliver your speech, which gives feedback to the person that just gave the speech. Afterwards, you can give them their evaluation slip if you've already filled it during the course of the meeting, which is very feasible to do. If you did not, after the meeting, you can fill the evaluation slip and then return it to the speaker. You can also give more of the recommendations that you saw during the meeting. Excuse me. If it was a speaker that could not handle too much recommendations from the stage, or if time did not permit. In summary, that's what you get to do as a speech evaluator before, during, and after the meeting. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to raise your hand and ask your question, or give your comment that will help all of us in the room, or just send it in the chat and we'll attend to it. Any questions or comments? I don't see any hands up and I don't see any message. I remember a question somebody asked once when we dealt with this role. Somebody asked the question, how do you deal with somebody not being able to handle the feedback you give? We are dealing with human beings, and it's not always a smooth way when you happen to relate to human beings, meaning it may not be that direct. I would recommend that you go and address it immediately one-on-one if you find out that they didn't like the feedback you gave, and find out what the issue is. Apologize where you can, and then learn from that experience. This is how you start increasing your arsenal on how to give feedback to specific individuals. As you speak to them one-on-one, you know for the future, this person can't handle too much from the stage. Every time you evaluate this specific person, reduce the recommendations. You find out that this person loves more recommendations than commendations. You can increase the number of recommendations. That being said, it may take a while depending on the person's disposition, depending on past experiences. You will have to mature to be a good evaluator, especially depending on where you're coming from. I've had experiences where somebody is unable to take feedback because the person is a man, the person is a woman, the person is younger, from a different tribe. We need to learn and mature through these things. But if you want to give your best as an evaluator, trust me, you are going to grow quite a bit. And hopefully, you'll help the person you evaluate as well grow. That being said, since I don't see any hands and I don't see any messages, I would like to say thank you so much for being a part of today's session. It's 30 minutes, no more. Oh, I see a hand. Toastmaster Lucy, you can go ahead and ask your question, but we may need to end before we now attend to it afterwards so that we actually conclude by 9:30. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Good evening.
Good evening.
John, my question is, if I am to evaluate a speech and probably I am on level 3, can I evaluate a speech higher, like a speech of a project higher than my own? Say I'm to evaluate someone that is speaking from level 4, project 1 or so. Can I do that?
Thank you so much for that question, Toastmaster Lucy. Before I attend to it, it's 9:30. Officially, we're done. If you want to leave, please feel free to exit the room. We're here every Friday. We cover 2 roles. The roles are always posted in the role players training group. The reason we do that is, first, we tend to vote. You vote for the roles you're interested in, so we attend to them that week. And if it's not something useful for you for that week, you don't have to join, so we don't waste your time. If you know it's going to be useful for someone else, you can send it to them so they join. I highly recommend, from the things you've learned, you put into practice. Play the role of Toastmaster of the day. Deliver speeches, evaluate speeches, and you'll be a great evaluator if you do more of this. Of course, if you've not done level 1 and 2, you can't evaluate speeches. You have to have done that project before you can evaluate speeches. But do these things as soon as possible, especially if you're someone that is scared of playing these roles. That is why we have this community, Toastmasters. Make your mistakes here. We encourage people here. It's why you paid. We learn by doing. We learn by making mistakes and stumbling and getting better. Play those roles you are scared to play. For those of you that want to leave, please feel free to do so. That being said, we'll attend to the question Toastmaster Lucy asked. Toastmaster Lucy, regarding your question, ideally, no. Ideally, you want someone that has already handled that project to evaluate it. But in those rare circumstances where we don't have a more experienced speaker to evaluate the speeches, it may have to happen. May. The Vice President Education should have done all they can to get other people, maybe the Toastmaster of the day as well, to get more experienced people to come and evaluate the speech. Nonetheless, if it's a standard project, there's nothing too unique. It's feasible. It's feasible. It's just sometimes the higher you get, the more nuanced those projects are. You'll get to a part where you're delivering a speech and you have to handle a difficult audience and people are interrupting. If you haven't reached that level, you may not be able to handle it. Some may, but it will require some level of investigation. So ideally, no, we want you to evaluate what you've already done, but in rare circumstances, it may happen. Does that help, Toastmaster Lucy?
Yeah, sure it does. Because I had to ask this question because I was being asked to evaluate a speech that I have not reached that project. That's why I'm asking.
Have you looked at the project that you're evaluating?
No, I haven't. I just got the evaluation sheet and then just went through the speech objective, and then I just saw that is a speech, a project I am about to speak on, but I was being asked to evaluate, which I actually did.
Okay, so you've evaluated it?
Yes.
What was the objective?
The objective was basically for the speaker to deliver a project to, vocal variety and
body language.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was
in that situation, it's not too difficult. Yes, it may not be ideal, but people generally can perceive what vocal variety is. Can you see change in my tone, intensity, volume? People can perceive body language as it changes. Is it distracting? Is it actually useful? Does it add value to the quality of the speech? In that situation, it may not be far-fetched for someone that has not actually delivered that project to evaluate. Once again, it's not ideal. for that particular project, I can understand having people that haven't even done it still evaluate the project. If you know that that person can pay attention to those details that are necessary. Does that make sense, Toastmaster Lucy?
It does, sir.
Okay. And well done on your evaluation. Toastmaster Rakia, before I take your question, one moment, please. Let me just plug in my laptop that is about to die, and I'll be right back to take your question. I am back. Thank you all for your patience. I had a training earlier. My laptop has been working overtime, so it makes sense that the battery is about to go off. But yes, we're plugged in. Oh, wait, one moment. Yes. Great, we're plugged in. Toastmaster Rakia, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster John. My question is on the part of the role of the Toastmaster of the day, asking if there are guests in the house. That's at this when he starts his functions. Because in my club, actually, it's the president that does that, and then goes to tell a brief history of Toastmaster. It's not the Toastmaster of the day that does that. I want clarification on that. You know, because you said the Toastmaster of the day will ask if there are guests in the house. If there are, he will tell them a little history about Toastmasters. If there are none, he will just go straight to the agenda of the day.
Yes.
Yes.
To get you correctly, you're saying that in your club, the president does two things. One, the president asks if there are guests, correct?
Correct.
And two, the president gives a brief history of Toastmasters. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes.
If that's what happens in your club, then the Toastmaster of the day does not need to state or do those things again. It's just redundant.
Okay.
Similar to introductions, please, if you've introduced someone before in your club, meaning in that meeting, you don't need to go through their introduction again. I've been to meetings where somebody has been introduced 2 or 3 times. The entire introduction has been read at least 2 or 3 times. It's redundant. Once you introduce somebody for the first time, next time you're just calling them up. And then there's something else about the Toastmaster of the day. Because you're the host, as people come in, because not everyone comes in at the same time, as people come in during the course of the meeting, you can just briefly welcome them. For those just joining us, welcome. We just had this session. We're going to this session. Welcome them, make them know that you saw them come in. They are appreciated. You appreciate them being here, and let them feel like, okay, I know where we are. We've clearly missed some very important things, and they're able to follow along. It's part of what you should be doing as the Toastmaster of the day. Also, something interesting happened at the meeting I was in today. At the meeting I was in today, I think a few of us were there. The very first speech, the timer spotlighted a countdown clock. It was counting down from 7 minutes all the way to 0, meaning the major part of our screens was a virtual meeting, had this countdown clock. After the first speech, as the Toastmaster of the day, that was the role I played today, I stated that the timer should not do that, that I'll prefer they just show the cards at the appropriate time, because we are listening and watching speakers speak. A major part of speaking is paying attention to body language. If we have this countdown clock, I don't know about others, but it's easy for me to be distracted by the clock and I don't pay attention fully to the speaker. It's better that we pay attention to the speaker, and then occasionally we see the green, the yellow, and the red. Much better. As the Toastmaster of the day, that's your responsibility. When things are not going well, you step in. When some people are giving excessively long speeches, you step in. A speech that is supposed to be 7 minutes, they are on the 8th, 9th. I've been in a club where someone that was supposed to do 5 to 7 minutes delivered a speech of over 11 minutes. The Toastmaster of the day should have stepped in long before that. So ask them to please wrap off their speech. Is it up or off? Think up. Their speech. Thank you.
Not the timer?
You are the one in charge. Not the timer. The timer is not responsible for that. You are the chief timer. The timer is going to show the red card, so you know where this person is.
He keep holding the red card.
Yeah, the timer can just keep the red. Once you see it, you already know they've reached this mark. As the Toastmaster of the day, because you're paying attention to the entire timing of the whole meeting, you should know when to step in. Nobody should be burdened with the responsibility of saying, no, stop, it's you. And I know many of us, we do not like this. I don't want to interrupt. I'll ruin their speech. I am sorry. This is part of the training. And rather than let people learn through responsibility, some of us take away that growth by saying, okay, I'll take it upon myself as the president. I'll take it upon myself as the VPE. No. Toastmaster of the day, you are the host. Grow through this process. Very important. Is there any other question or comments? And because it's already after the meeting time, you don't have to limit yourself to either Toastmaster of the day or the speech evaluator. You can ask other questions. And if I see that there are no other questions, I can attend to Toastmaster Emmanuel's question regarding MCing outside of Toastmasters. Does anyone have any other question regarding roles or speeches in Toastmasters? Toastmaster Lazarus, please go ahead.
Good evening, Toastmaster John. So my question does not relate to playing roles at Toastmasters, but it has to do with public speaking. So I just want to confirm if there is any guide you can give to someone who is to be speaking as a panelist in a panel session. Yes, so in terms of, you don't have the questions beforehand, you are going there, though you know the areas the questions will be coming from and all that. So what guide can you give someone on how to speak confidently in that type of environment?
I mean, there's a lot we can do. Are you a panelist in a panel session?
Coming up on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, interesting. I'm going to be a panelist at the panel session tomorrow. So it's interesting that you're asking this. There's quite a bit. One, you stated that you already know the topic, correct?
Yes.
Do you know how much time you have for your answers?
Well, I know it's a 1 hour panel session and we are 5 panelists.
Okay. I would first state that you should please confirm that for each question, how much time do you have to respond? Ideally, questions will be given to you in advance, but in this context, it has not been given. So I'll ask that confirm how much time you have, because the amount of time you have will determine how you are going to phrase your response. It's different when you have 5 or 10 minutes and when you have 1 minute. Very different. One goes straight to the point. Another can be more elaborate. You can have stories. Confirm how much time you have. 2, are you familiar with the audience that is there?
Sorry, when you say familiar,
have they
I
told
don't know
you the
them.
age range? Have you? Please
I
ask.
don't know them in person, but I have an idea of who they are likely to be.
No,
So
not likely. Not likely to be. The organizers should tell you who are we going to have in the audience, age range, work experience, life experience. They should have a better idea.
So I was in that conference last year, so as an attendee.
Okay.
So I have an idea of the type of people that will come there.
Once again, I'm saying not an idea. The organizers, they know who registered, right? Did they register for this conference?
Yes.
So ask them, is there something wrong with asking them?
No, there is not.
So ask who are we expecting in terms of demographics. Let them give you breakdown. And the reason this is important is because the response you give should be relevant to the audience. There's no point speaking if what you're saying is not relevant to the audience. And if you have the details of the demographic, you can streamline your answer to be more suited to those people. If some of us are giving examples of work